Hi lads and lasses, Modest Pelican here, with a video comparing two of EA's games, Battlefield 1 and the upcoming Star Wars Battlefront 2. The Star Wars beta has been and gone now, giving us a sizable taste of what we can expect at the full launch later this year. If you enjoyed this video, please call the first contact in your phone and breathe heavily for a few moments. After the person on the other end is utterly confused, threateningly yell, Modest Pelican Gaming, and then just hang up, as this really helps spread the good word of my channel. The first thing we are going to talk about is how each game feels. Star Wars has nailed it, with the sound effects, the authentic environments, the character models, it simply all feels fucking great, and they've done a remarkable job immersing players in the Star Wars universe. Battlefield 1 also does a superb job creating an incredible atmosphere in which battles take place, with frequent cinematic moments, 64 players in a match, destructible environments, and more teabags than a British house party. This game really has done a sublime job creating that feeling of all-out war. Battlefield 1 did receive some feedback that it doesn't feel like a World War I game, given the extensive use of prototype fully automatic machine guns rather than historically accurate bolt-action rifles, but for someone like me who cares more about that overall experience, this really doesn't matter. If you were after that authentic World War I feeling, a game like Verdun is going to offer you that, or you could just dig a trench in your back garden and sit in it for a few days for that VR experience. I must say though, I think both Star Wars and Battlefield did an exceptional job creating games that simply feel good to play.
Big Red, standing by!
How is the gameplay of each title? Star Wars definitely has an arcadey style about it relative to Battlefield 1, and I think this is partially due to factors such as the ability to switch to third person, the maps being quite linear, and other general gameplay elements such as not being able to fully aim down the sights of weapons. This lean towards a slightly more arcadey design is far from a bad thing though, and it honestly works really well with the Star Wars universe. For example, third person mode lets you see the iconic heroes, droids, and stormtroopers, which just adds to the immersion. I don't mean to be racist, but all stormtroopers kind of look the same to me. I also think Star Wars is a slightly easier game to just pick up and play, though there is still a pretty high skill ceiling in which top players can try and reach through mastering stuff like evasive rolling, weapon mechanics, heroes' abilities, and other staple multiplayer mechanics, such as yelling through the microphone that someone's mother looks like Jabba the Hutt. Battlefield 1, however, is solely an FPS game with more realistic weapons, no third-person peeking, bullet drop, open maps, and so on. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 is not just a reskin of Battlefield 1. Though there are similarities, the core gameplay of each title is actually quite different with their own distinct characteristics.
Boy, you got here just in time.
How is playing with friends and the teamwork elements of each game? Battlefield 1 separates each team into squads of 5 who then hypothetically work together. This is a great feature for playing with friends, and even if you are playing with random people, you kind of get to know them for at least that game as you are consistently in close proximity due to the squad spawn system. The game even shows you which class everyone is in your squad, so you can change up your own class depending on what they might need. So for example, I might notice there is no medic in the squad, and therefore I can make a really noticeable difference by choosing the medic class and then reviving my squad mates. You also get to hear your squad have some pretty funny conversations, especially when people forget that their microphones are on. I once heard a kid trying to explain to his mum why a girl at school was calling him a thirsty pervert. That shit was hilarious. In addition to the squad mechanic, each class in Battlefield has equipment and abilities that promote teamwork, such as reviving, resupplying, spotting, and so on. When players are actually utilising all of this stuff, you truly do feel like a team in Battlefield 1. Star Wars Battlefront 2 has improved upon teamwork elements a great deal since the first installment, with some classes now having an avenue to help the team out, such as the officer's buff ability, where he thrusts his fists into the air and buffs nearby allies, and I really welcome stuff like this to the game. I thought I may as well try this buff ability in a real life situation where I was being a wingman for my friend. I thrusted my fist into the air to give his confidence a quick buff, but the girl just got creeped out and quickly left. It is the Star Wars spawn system I am not so sure of. When you die, you simply respawn back into the game with 3 random teammates who also recently died. This means every time you spawn in, you will almost certainly have a new squad. This is a bummer for friends wanting to play together and detracts a bit from the teamwork vibe. It is actually one of the few things I really don't like about the game.
What the hell? Your head is so small!
Yeah, that's why we wear these big helmets. It's a lot more intimidating.
How is the DLC and progression in each title? Downloadable content in Battlefield 1 is released in bundles that include maps and a handful of weapons in each installment. You can actually use these weapons against players who have not purchased the DLC, and though they add some nice variety, they are not any more effective than the original guns. The progression in Battlefield was pretty light on at launch, with the game being criticised for a lack of guns and customization, which I think was fair, though many more options have been added to the game since its launch. Star Wars plans to release all maps for free, which is great, but the progression system has introduced pay to win in Alderaan places. This is because the entire system is oriented around loot crates that you can either buy with actual money or spend hours grinding for like a RuneScape player with a Dexy addiction. Fortunately, EA have been really responsive to all of the criticism, saying they are going to make it easier for players to obtain loot crates through just playing the game. In addition to this, the best items will be unlocked via achievements and challenges rather than any sort of pay to win, so that sounds like really positive news for Battlefront 2. I will quickly touch on graphics. Both games are running on the Frostbite engine and look super thick. The environment is not destructible in Star Wars like it is in Battlefield 1, but I think that works better for the way the game plays. The Star Wars maps we have seen so far are so authentically crafted, and I feel like most fans of the franchise will really appreciate the effort. It'll be interesting to see how authentic they go, and if they do end up including an Easter egg where Luke Skywalker gives Princess Leia the old Lannister special. And to put it simply, both of these games are front runners in multiplayer graphics, but if I had to pick the better of the two, the vibrant Star Wars environment would probably slightly edge out Battlefield purely based on the visuals. What are my own personal thoughts on the two games? In summary, and in my opinion, is that from what we have seen from the Star Wars beta, EA have listened to fans and we are seeing a much better attempt at recreating the Battlefront feeling many fans were craving from the older titles. The game looks amazing, and most importantly, it is heaps of fun to play. I think even if you aren't a fan of Star Wars, you'd still have a really good time with Battlefront 2. This being said, and I can't stress how much this is just my own personal opinion, Battlefield 1 is my baby. I love the maps, the gameplay, the squad mechanics, and though there are a handful of things wrong with this game, for me and the group of mates I play with, it is a 10 out of 10, and this is easily one of my favourite games of all time. I imagine though, I'll be sinking many more hours into both of these excellent games. I really encourage you to get involved in the conversation. How do you think the games will compare? What are you excited for? What porn do you watch? What do you think of the loot crates? Let me know all about it in the comments below. I also want to say thank you to my fellow YouTuber, Grumpy Munchkins, for suggesting I make this video, and also to Benediction for giving me some Star Wars footage, as most of the stuff I recorded from the beta was corrupted. I'll link their channels below. Otherwise, you are all fucking legends. Until next time, and as always, stay classy.